let's be real. Can work really affect your relationship? So in today's podcast, Cece and I, we're going to talk about some of the signs, some of the things you can look for that really determine whether or not your work is affecting your relationship. So stay tuned.
Hey, Blissful friends, welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of the Blissology podcast. I am your host, Cece, your host, Cece. And I'm joined by my husband, who's looking at me like, what's wrong with this girl? Yes, baby. Hi. How you doing?
I love this woman. Hey, everybody, this is Will,
Love
and
you
welcome
too.
back to another episode of the Blissology podcast. If this is your first time with us, please remember to subscribe and hit on that notification bell so you can be notified when we put out these videos. This is a weekly podcast, and in here, Cece talks about herself and what else?
I told myself, okay. Love, life, family, relationships, and you, babe. I talk about you too. And the girls.
She sometimes
right?
talks about me,
Talk about
but it's mostly about herself.
No. Anyways, as you guys know, before we get into the topic of the day, we like to go into our blissful moment. Y'all know it's being a challenge lately because Will's like, it's my blissful moment, but I'm like, no, it's not. It's our, because y'all, you be telling about your blissful moment too. I don't know what you're talking about. So, baby, what's your blissful moment? You see how I just throw them out there? Like,
It's been a good week.
Okay.
It's been a good week. I must say.
It's been raining.
It rained, but it had no impact on me because it rained during the day. But I'm at work, so
sure.
I could sit inside, look at the rain raining. By the time I'm getting ready to leave, it's done.
What's so blissful about your week?
It's been a good week. I've gotten some stuff done, getting some clients happy, made some deliveries. You know,
Yes.
so it's a good thing. Actually, part of this is that I'm reducing the load of work that I've had over the last few weeks, the last couple of months. So
That's right.
the load is a lot lighter, which is good.
Yes.
So it's been a good week. Looking forward to whatever's coming next week. But I
that.
expect it to be just as good, right?
Okay.
What's
That's
yours?
awesome. Mine is, the girls are doing pretty good in school. They, me as a mother, I'm very strict with my girls. So whenever they come home, I'm like, okay, what you guys did in school? And they've been getting A's so far on their math tests or reading or whatever it is. So, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, I sent you a picture of
Oh yeah, I remember
the
that.
little one who did so well on her math test. And I was like, look at God, they turning out pretty good. That's my bliss moment. I mean, I feel like, the kids, it can be hard. It can be a lot of stuff that they do in school. But I'm one of those mom, like, do you have homework? And then you be like, no, I don't. Why don't you have homework?
Let me check your bag.
Why don't you have homework? Because if you in school, you should have homework.
Yeah.
Who's the teacher? Give me their phone number or their email address and ask them, why doesn't he give my child or she give my child homework? So, yeah. So I'm actually been very happy with the girls doing well in school. Their behavior is like very, I'm very strict. Like I said, my husband is a lot harder sometimes, but I think I'm a little bit, I'm more like,
You are who you are.
here's the thing about me. I'm sure a lot of moms are like that. My reaction is not like, so what happened here? That's my husband. He's the calm, collected reactions where he's like, all right, babe, let's talk about this. I'm like, so what we not? I am so quick at.
She will lose her temper.
Yes, I will. I mean, that's just how I am. I'm a mother's child. Okay, my mom is just like that. And that's where I got it from. And that's why I'm going to say, yes, I would lose my temper. What's going on here? How come you don't have this and that? My husband is more like, okay, let's talk. I don't have time to talk. I'm going to start yelling and start getting the whooping, but I love my daughters. I just want to, use this time as a blissful one because they've been doing pretty good in school. And yeah.
Yeah, we get that out of the way.
And sometimes I'll be like, how do I manage to still able to take care of my girls, because I'm a Wonder Woman.
You do what you do.
A lot of us women are Wonder Woman, yes. So now let's get into the topic of the day. So yes, can work
affect your relationship?
Can it?
I don't know.
I mean, you don't know.
The work hasn't impacted my relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, but it can. I mean, in all seriousness, some of us just work, and we live in an environment where it's always on.
Yeah.
Whether you're working for companies,
yes,
you're
between our personal and professional lives.
It's always on. You leave the office and you're home, you're working.
Yes.
And sometimes the line between work and personal life blurred. There's no line.
There's no line.
And sometimes it's more work than it is life. So yes, it can have an impact on it.
Absolutely. And the thing is too, a lot of jobs really demand a lot of time from you.
Yes.
And sometimes you gotta find, this is why we talk about work-life balance last weekend. And I feel like sometimes when you work so much, you don't really find ways to balance things out, because some companies, they will give you so much work. And sometimes you bring stuff home, right? Which could be a problem between you and your spouse.
Oh, yes.
Right? So, I mean, to me, it's really a challenge.
Well, it happened once or twice per quarter. I don't think it's a big deal. It's when it's a daily occurring
constant, yes,
thing. That's where it becomes a problem, because
right.
although you're home, you're not home. And listen, see me, I'm cool. If I don't get the attention, I'm okay. I'll manage. Cece, on the other hand, she doesn't get the attention, she'll go nuts. And many people are like this, and especially if you're in a relationship. You're not in a relationship for yourself. Otherwise, just don't get in a relationship if you want to be solo. But if you're in a relationship, you have to have time you can put aside to be with this person.
Yeah.
Now, just sleeping on the same bed with the person, I don't think that's enough, right?
No, it's not.
Well,
and sometimes
technically, spending time in bed is time together. You may be sleeping, but you're in the same bed.
No, it's not.
But
okay.
sleeping in the same bed, or eating at the same dinner table, it's not. Sometimes it's not enough.
It's not.
Or sometimes you're in bed, but you're with your computer, you're doing work until you fall asleep. Or you're at the dinner table, you're on your email,
you're on your phone,
and that's not. I mean, and again, I know sometimes it could happen, maybe once or twice. Or maybe a couple of days out of the week, you come home with work, and that's fine. Or maybe half of the week is work at home, and the other half,
right?
Yeah, at least so. But it's a real thing.
It is a real thing. I think sometimes you would. It doesn't happen a lot when it comes to you. Like you said,
I don't bring work home.
Like I think if it has to do where you have to do something for your employees, I understand. You gotta dedicate that time, and we know when you're in the office. Like I said, it doesn't happen all the time. We know when you're in the office, the door is closed and locked, and you like, do not come in for the next 2 hours. And we understand that.
That barely happens.
And that barely happens, exactly.
Yeah, I've taken some conference calls, so that usually about an hour or so. But
again, on your vacation.
That's rare. That's really rare.
But we understand that, because it doesn't happen a lot of time, and we know to give you that time, but if it's something that you do all the time, then we have a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem, because all your time will be dedicated solely to work,
right?
Except your sleeping time, which is not really time spending with your partner.
It's not, because you'll be asleep, and I'll be asleep. So what are we doing?
You're spending sleeping time.
So, guys, here are a few signs that we feel like,
some things to keep an eye out.
Yes.
And when you start noticing these behaviors, it's it's time to start looking back as, what's been happening, how I've been behaving, and what can I do to possibly change it.
Right.
And there are clues.
Absolutely. There's a lot of them.
Like, for instance, your spouse could be rolling their eyes at you when you're trying to communicate with them. No, some people roll their eyes for other reasons. Let me just say that. But signs of resentment, could be part of the reason that they're rolling their eyes. They don't feel like you're giving them all the attention that they need. They feel irritated when, especially if you haven't given this person the time they need, but when you need something,
right,
you want them to do it.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Or, you're in bed and you're trying to get clothes and they push you away.
Well, yeah. What do you want?
Right.
What do you want? You barely talk to me, so we barely have time together. So why are you trying to like get closer to me?
Yeah, and sometimes the person who may be the alcoholic, instead of addressing the issue because they realize that there's some changes in behavior,
right?
They buried themselves at work, and sometimes it's a way to avoid confrontation. But all that does, it makes the problem worse.
At some point, you got to confront your spouse. At some point, we need to talk about, okay, this is not working, right? Especially when it's like an early on, when you just got married and you like, okay, this is my schedule. I'll be at work from 9 to 9. And there's some people who they make a lot of money at work, and you as a wife have to really make the sacrifice in a way, but then you don't know for how long. Because if you home constantly by yourself taking care of the children and your husband barely home, now this will definitely damage your marriage.
Yeah, and this is where addressing the issue could be, because yes, that could be a Monday to Friday thing, and in the weekends you have it all to yourself. And if that's an arrangement that makes sense,
I don't know about
for your
that
relationship, by all means,
maybe.
But if it's obvious within the relationship that there's an issue, then this is where you and your partner has to sit down and hash it out. How do we handle this? This is the problem. Where do we go from here?
Set boundaries, absolutely. Yeah. And you got to make sure that, listen, here's my thing. I mean, I'm working late. If there's something that y'all seen in the movies where the husband always, I'm working late, or I'm in the office until 10 o'clock. And of course, in the back of your mind, you're like, okay, you working late almost every night. What's really happening? What's really going on?
He's making the money.
Right? Every night during the week, you like, okay, I'm not going to be home, or something happened. I got stuck in traffic. All these excuses. Those are red flags to me. Like, what's going on? Right?
Yeah. And there could be other reasons besides work. People just use work as a cover. It can happen. Yeah. And that will cause your partner to be concerned. And that could be both on the woman or the man. Yes. If you're doing it and there's no rhyme or reason why, and it seems like the reason's all made up, yes, it'll cause your partner to be concerned. What are you hiding? What are you doing? But there could be legitimate reason why someone worked. I remember during COVID, a lot of companies were inundated with things that they had to process, especially those in the financial industry, where all these loans the government was giving. Many employees had to take work home or stay up late, but that was just temporarily. It wasn't a permanent thing, and many of them had to take the work home. And if your partner's aware of what's going on, it's a lot easier for them to handle it.
Be upfront, that's all.
Sometimes take them to work with you.
Okay, no. No, but the only thing I want to say is that before I move on to the next one is that, if you feel like you said earlier, during the week you always working late, or you never home, or you don't spend the time with your spouse and the children, like maybe on the weekend, like you said earlier, just make it up on the weekend, right? Take them out, and do something nice and make them feel like, you're important to me. I know I've been busy, but I'm busy for the family. I'm bringing money. I'm bringing home the bacon. But on the weekend, I will take care of you. You know what I mean? But it's but it can't be done every week. I'm just saying. But yes.
And I think to keep an eye out for if your spouse is asking for change.
If I'm constantly begging and asking you to change, something is wrong. Or
your partner, not just your spouse.
If I'm constantly saying, babe, something got to change every single time, we really need to either see a therapist, or we need to see somebody, a priest or a parent, because.
First, I think, yes, you need to sit down. Don't just dismiss your partner.
But men don't like the sit down talk. Because whenever they hear, let's sit down.
See, now you're generalizing.
No, men don't like it. Whenever men hear.
How many times have I sat down with you?
Quite a few times. quite a few times.
So some of us do sit down.
Whenever, but you be standing too. But you be like,
But I listen.
But you do listen.
See?
But we do it frequently, so you don't pay attention. Yes. Whenever we hear, okay, we need to talk, or we gotta sit down and talk.
Yeah.
They'll figure, okay, something's wrong. And a lot of men, they like to avoid this talk because they know it's serious. Something's gonna go down.
Yeah, but if you're with someone and you care for this person and you want what you have to last, you got to be willing to sit down.
Yes.
So it always starts with sitting down, lay out what the issues are. Because if your spouse is begging, and typically if the partner is begging, they already lay out what the issue is. You're not here often enough.
Right.
If it's your job that's keeping you away or your mistress is keeping you away, get rid of them.
Okay.
but you got to sit down and see, okay, how do I get... Yes, you may have a job that's a good job and it allows you to have the lifestyle you have. You may not just be able to just make changes like this.
Right.
And but you do have to sit to say, okay, this is what's going on. This is what we can do to do. Yeah. Now, if the job is something you can change, maybe change it. Maybe work in a different department. Maybe get a different job. However, always sit down and look to see what the potential solution is and be willing to compromise. Not just you who's the one who's working too much, but the person who's asking has to approach this with an open mind and be willing to give in a little, because there's no clear answers and solution for some of these things. Sometimes you have to give in a little bit just to see if we can make it work.
Right. Sometimes it's sacrifice too, you know. And if it makes it easier for you, maybe talk to your boss and says, hey, listen, this is like something's going on at home. I really need to cut down on some hours, you know. And the boss gonna be like, well, if you can't do the job, I'm gonna have to find somebody else, because all these are gonna come down to something. So I definitely feel like, you know, you should definitely talk to your spouse and let them know what's really going on, especially if you feel like, okay, this is the life that I want. The bacon is coming home every week or every month.
You want this big house? Okay. Here's the thing.
Here's a sacrifice you got to make.
We're gonna downsize. You want this big car?
No.
Here's the thing. We're gonna sell it, buy some something that's not as expensive, and I switched the job. So, but it's good to have that sit down, because that's the only way you can work out a potential solution. You know, and at the end it'll be helpful because you'll be able to see your partner, because not seeing the person
absolutely
is crazy. You know, you're married to someone, you see them maybe once a week or you only hear when they come in bed.
How are we married? Yeah, some people be like,
right,
because especially if you come home late. If you come home late and you have children, so the kids have to go to bed by a certain time, like 8 o'clock, they're in bed. So when you come at 11 o'clock, I'm already asleep. So it's like,
well, but if your partner works the afternoon, because I've known people that have arrangements where one partner works the day, one works the night, just so they can split the kids' supervision.
I don't know, it doesn't work.
But some people do.
Yeah, some people do. Like, there's people who work in the hospitals where there's switch shift. The husband is home in the morning or at night, and the wife is home in the morning. Yeah, I guess whatever works.
But even that's temporary. And typically that's a plan that they made together to solve another problem.
Yeah.
Right? Daycare is freaking expensive. It's either for the year or so, we're going to sacrifice this. You'll work nights and I work day. And that's where we don't have to put the kids in daycare. But that's a plan. A plan to handle something. But where it's just your partner just don't see you because you're spending all your time at work and they just see it, that's a problem.
Or if we're both overachievers,
that's another problem.
That's like even worse, right? Because we're both workaholic. We're both like, all right, don't have time for each other.
We'll have something in common. We'll have something we see
we
together.
Just work.
We'll have a joint account where all the money goes into this, where we all see the big paychecks coming in, and we can talk to each other over the phone as to how much money we have.
That's not a relationship. This is a partnership. No.
Well, a relationship is a partnership, but this one will be based on what we're making.
Based on business. Nothing
but yes,
personal.
Overachievers can be where the wife is working as hard as she could and never home, and the husband's doing the same thing.
Yes.
But people like this, they're just roommates.
Yeah, and a lot of times, especially if there's no kids involved in this relationship where both husband and wife are like newlyweds, or they're in their early 20s or late 20s and early 30s, and they're like, or mid 40s or whatever, and they just work because they want to live this life, this dream life. And therefore, they barely have time for each other. It's like on a weekend, we go out to dinner, and then that's about it.
Yeah.
That's
now,
it.
Here's one thing. Here's one mistake sometimes couple makes. Is that we want to work hard to make as much money as we can, so 10 years later, we can live the life we want. But somehow what they don't realize that the life you want has to be built, which means you build it every day. Because 10 years later, you can have the money, but you become strangers to each other. And you find the love that you were supposed to share that's no longer there. So what good does it do to anybody? It doesn't. Because by that time, that's when you're thinking divorcing, because that guy you married is completely different than the guy that's there 10 years ago. Because you never built a relationship.
Right.
So, and again, it always comes down to what are we doing? Why are we doing it? And is it working for what we have? Now, if we plan on buying a house and we need to work as much as we can so we can put some money away, put down, we're going to dedicate this year. You know what? We're going to work. But if we have 30 minutes together with each other on a daily basis, we're going to make the best of it. We'll do everything that couples can do in 30 minutes.
Wow.
Talking about efficiency.
That's a break.
But if that's the plan you make the plan work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, part of this partnership with being with someone, sometimes you have to plan together. You have to plan. And not every plan is going to be the best plan. Some other couples will look at you and say, "Are you nuts?" But only you would know what you're working towards. And that would be, maybe we need to make a big purchase and we need to put some funds aside. Or maybe we're going on a big trip that's going to be crazy expensive. So for this month, we're going to work so we can put enough money because we don't want to finance the thing.
Right.
So there could be a number of reasons why we do it, but it needs to be something that that makes sense for both of us.
Absolutely. And sometimes, while you were talking, I was thinking about people who work in the hospital still. I don't know why, but I feel like sometimes even if you have children, it's like one, drop off the kids to school and then clean up the house. Let's say it's the wife, clean up the house. And then the husband get up at 2:00 or before 2 or before 5 to get the kids and then do homework, eat dinner, get them to bed. And then here comes the wife later on in the evening. It's like you never see each other. It's like a rotation. I drop them off. I come home. I cook and clean. And then now you go get the kids from school. And then you do the evening. Oh, my God. It's just like, listen, America.
It could be tough.
Listen, it can be tough. And sometimes you can't find a balance.
Yes.
Right? We talked about this last weekend. How work-life balance is a challenge, and there's no such thing as work-life balance.
You can find a balance, but I think for people that may have a valid reason to do things like this, scheduling things will be important, right? If you know that you're going to be, that's the type of arrangement you're going to make. One handle the kids in the morning and then do the cleaning, the other ones do the pickup and then the homework.
Do the dinner.
Schedules times within the week. I mean, you know what, honey, I know on Wednesday you get out of work at 9 o'clock. Here's what I know you're going to be tired, but when you get in from 9:30 until 12, that's going to be our time on every Wednesday. So it's already set. And if you're the husband who typically do the afternoon, you'll make arrangement, make sure when your wife comes home that she's comfortable, that she's comfortable at 9:30 and you can spend a good 2 hours together. So plan it. Because sometimes we run into cases where we have...
would not be doing 2 hours, but I get it.
I'm saying... If you find yourself in this situation, but schedule time together with each other.
Absolutely.
And I don't care how long you can get. If it's that 30 minutes, then put together 30 minutes. If it's a couple of hours, just do that.
Right.
Because it's not always simple to say, I'm gonna leave this job or I'm gonna do something else. Because we all have responsibilities, and when you have a family, someone's counting on you to support. Sometimes the solution is not to live what you're doing now. It may be to plan around what you're doing and be willing to do that. So it goes back to planning.
Yes. Or if you are an entrepreneur like myself and you feel like you're responsible for every last part of your business. I mean, I am grateful for my husband because he helps so much, but many times you find that, okay, this could be overwhelmed. This could be a lot, but then you find a way to make it work by creating a plan, a schedule, because balance is so important. And I feel like I got to get this book. I really got to get this book from Pastor Torrey, Sarah Roberts' husband. He talked about balance in this book. And it's so interesting that I'm like, I need to get this book. And you may need it because you need balance in your life.
I'm balanced.
You are, right. We all need it, to be honest. We all need it. But I'm going to get this weekend. Okay. Because when we are so entrepreneur, we constantly thinking and moving and figuring things out.
Yeah, some people need to learn to unplug. Sometimes.
I need to learn. We need to learn to unplug.
Well, yeah,
sometimes,
when I get home, she puts me to work.
Because I'm like, sir, it's midnight. It's 1:00. Where are you still up? We need to go to bed. Because once he's up, I'm up. And sometimes I'm like, let me get my laptop and go to sleep. But I'm still trying like, okay, babe, let's go pray because we got to go to sleep. And it's important. It's important, and it's also just definitely important to make your relationship a priority.
Yes, you have to, because you gotta look at it this way: if your relationship is a priority to you, you would always find ways to make sure that you work on what's important for the relationship. Bringing money home every day, it's important because that's the only way you'll be able to pay for the lights, the house, the cars you drive, the food you have in the fridge. However, that's not all of it.
Yes, I've read this somewhere that says a job is how we make money to live, but we don't live to work.
Okay.
Right?
Some deep thing here.
And
but yes, you're right.
Yeah, and if your job comes before anything and everything, your significant other is going to feel like they're not as important, like they're not your priority on your list.
Well said.
I don't know who said it, but that is so deep. Yeah. When I saw it, I was like, wow, it is so true. A job is how we make money to make a living.
Which it's important.
But we don't live to work.
But if all you do is work, then there's a problem. And rightfully so. When your relationship is priority, you have to think of the things that helps grow and nourish that relationship.
Right.
Spending time together. Be there for this person when they need you. Be there to listen when they have to talk to you about whatever.
Right.
Learn to be attentive. Not always tied to whatever else is going on with work. You should be able to come home one day and just be solely dedicated to this person and nothing else.
Yeah, and your children.
You should be able to take this person out and not have to be on a call from the moment you get to the place that you're going until you come back home.
Yes.
So, be able to be there for this person and not just be there in person.
Right.
But be there emotionally to be able to connect with this person the way they need to. Now, yes, go out and make the money. That's important.
Listen, we need it. We need the money, but we don't want to worship the money so much to the point where that we forget about our family.
That's the only thing that's important.
Right? Because a lot of people, they feel like they need the money first and then the family comes after. But in reality, your family comes first.
Well, there's this crazy thing that I've heard some people says, I work so hard for my family. But the family you're working so hard for, you barely see them.
True.
You don't even know how your kids are doing in school.
Yes.
You've never picked them up from school. When you finally make it to the school, the teacher's like, I didn't know you had a father or a mother.
Oof.
So what's the point of working so hard for that family? The wife you said you're working so hard for, you never get a chance to even do anything with this wife to make her feel special. The only thing you do is put money in the account and you think that's all it needs. There's a whole lot more that's needed.
You're preaching.
Yeah.
You're preaching, baby.
But
You're preaching, brother.
But there's a whole lot more that's needed to work with. So don't think that just because you're working hard and making the money, that's all that's needed to build a family.
Yes.
A whole lot more is needed. Be involved in your kids' life.
Yes.
Be involved in your kids' life.
Yes.
be involved in your wife's life.
Yes.
And you know, your wife needs stuff. Sometimes you got to give her stuff.
Hello, somebody.
So it's...
That is so true, baby. A lot of people in our community do that. They work so much.
Working hard for the family. But you're losing the family.
You're barely there.
By working so hard because you have no idea what the family is. Right.
You don't know what's going on. You have no clue. And this is what we talk about, where people who do... Listen, I understand you have a lot of bills, you have responsibilities, but your family is also your responsibility. There's a lot of people who has 2 jobs.
Which sometimes you may have to do 2 jobs.
Right.
But you know, what good does it do if you have a son? The father figure in your son's life is never there, because when you get up in the morning to go to work, your son's not up yet. Mm-hmm. When you get home at night, your son's already asleep.
Yeah.
And that happens every day.
Yeah.
How do you expect the son to even know that they even have a father?
Right.
The same thing goes for a mother.
Right. Right. True. And I was going to say, it may be the same thing too when the son get older. They probably going to go into duplicate exactly what you did.
That's what they know. Because if I woke up and that's how I see things are happening, I don't think that's normal.
Right.
So, if I don't get involved in a lot of other craziness, I'm probably going to do the same thing. Not that that's not a sure thing that I'm going to, but probably I will do that because that's what I'm exposed to.
Right. True that. True.
Yeah. So,
can
work impact your relationship? Yes, it can.
Oh, my God. Big family.
Time. Now, we talked about some of the negative ways. Listen, doing the right work can allow you to provide for your family and make sure that you give your family the best life that you can.
Yes.
So I know we touched on the negatives, but there's a lot of positive things that work do.
Yes.
Listen, the only way I'm able to put food in the fridge for my kids to eat is because I work. Right? So work does a lot of good stuff. Mm-hmm. However, work can do a lot of bad stuff. And believe me, it's a lot easier to live with the good stuff than it can to live with the bad stuff. So that's why it's best to address the bad ones.
Yeah.
So this is not me saying that if you have to work a little bit more to provide for your family, don't do. No, you should. As a father, as a mother, you have a responsibility to provide for your family.
Yeah.
But by providing for a family, you have to take into consideration my behaviors and actions taking me out of the family.
Right.
And if it's not impacting your family in a negative way, continue to do so, but pay attention.
Yes. And one thing I want to say this before we end the topic for today is that sometimes it's okay to let your child know, mommy and daddy has to work a little bit harder, or we're not going on trip this year because we are planning for something better later on. If you communicate with your child, let your child know what's going on. A lot of our people, sometimes they feel like you're a kid, you should know what's going on. But if you have a kid who's like so aware of what's going on, it's good to sit down and say, you know what? The reason why dad is working late or mom is working late, we both in the office 24/7 is because this and that and third. Yeah. I mean, communication is so important, not just in our relationship, but also in your children's life. If you come home every night, you don't see anything to this kid, the kid is gonna assume that you don't love me anymore, or you don't care for me. All you do is work. Y'all heard it, you baby, right? We've seen it on TV.
Don't you also see on TV?
All you do is work, and you barely home for me. You barely home for the kids, And the wife know what's going on, but the kids don't know, because all they see you do is get up every morning, go to work, and they don't see you until the next day. Yeah. So it's so important to let your children know what's going on and why you have to work so late. Yeah.
Include the whole family in the plan. Now, if you have a 2-year-old, they have no idea what's going on.
I will talk to her.
But if they're at the stage, listen, if they're at the stage where they can understand, kids see more than you think they do.
They sure do.
They see a whole lot more.
They sure do. They pay attention.
Fill them in. Fill them in on what's going on.
Yeah, while y'all eating dinner.
Yeah, make it a dinner conversation.
We do that.
Share what you do at work.
We do that.
My daughter has a habit of asking me, how much money did you make today?
Every day she asks that question. Every single day. I'll be like, it's the same, baby. It's the same.
Yes. But she knows where I work. She knows what I do.
And she be like sometimes, Daddy, who has an issue today? Who came and add a question or has some problem?
Yeah. So let your kids be involved in your work life, because that helps them understand what you do and why you do it. Now, depends on the kid's age. They may under, they may not. But keep them involved, because they see. They see what's going on, and sometimes they will give what's going on its own meaning.
Right.
Did you mention? I think that you just don't love them anymore. You don't spend as much time as you used to, or you never spend any time. Especially if they go around and they see the parents of their friends are always there, they're always doing things.
Yeah.
And I remember that one time I was late to my kids' curriculum night. I had some stuff to do and I was late. Oh, they called me and asked me where I was.
Oh, yes. They call. They call and text. Like, Daddy, are you coming? I was like, babe, he's on his way. He's on his way, you know? And it's important.
It's important. So we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast.
Yes.
Can work impact your relationship? Yes, it can.
It can.
In some good ways and some bad ways. You make the choice.
It's up to you.
How are you going to let work impact your relationship? Now, I know we all have responsibilities, and this is in no way that I'm saying don't meet your responsibilities. You have to put food on the table, do whatever you need to do.
That's right.
But always look at what I'm doing. How is it helping my relationship with my wife or your significant other, your spouse, your kids? How is it helping?
Right.
And if it's not helping, then you need to sit and take a hard look at what do I need to change?
Right. Right.
Who do I need to help understand?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Or sit down with your spouse and see how we can shift things around.
Absolutely.
I did too.
Anyway, so thank you guys for listening to our podcast today. We appreciate you.
Yes.
If this is your first time with us, please remember to subscribe and hit on the notification bell so you can be notified when these videos come out.
Yes.
Please share it.
Yes.
Like the video. We'll love it when you leave comments.
Continue leaving the comments.
Continue leaving the comments. She said she was going to get to them. I'm not sure if she did.
I haven't.
But if she didn't.
I'm coming. So I'm coming. It's coming. It's okay. Listen, give me okay. It's coming. I'm coming.
But we really appreciate you guys being part of our family. We come to you guys every weekend. And thank you for always popping in to listen to us. So thank you.
Yes, appreciate you. Appreciate you a lot. And appreciate you too. YouTube, listen, thank you. Thank you for the platform. You know, I haven't been saying that, but thank you for the platform. Thank you to all my followers, our followers. And like I said before, more is coming on this platform, okay? More is coming. So stay tuned for more. I don't know when they're coming, but they're coming. They're coming before the end of the year. So more is coming. Again, we thank you. We appreciate you. And we will see you on the next podcast.
Peace.
Bye.